For those of us who enjoy pushing the limits of what's possible in the gym, those of us who understand the potential benefits of RPE and reps in reserve and stimulus to fatigue and every other system currently used in this modern science-based lifting society, but rarely focus on any of it because we're hardwired to get straight to the point, we lift hard, heavy, and often because we've realized that nothing else will satisfy the need to push ourselves and nothing else is more effective. For those of us who train this way, it's rarely the body that limits us. The biggest problem for us is the mind. I can't tell you the number of times I've had a workout all written out beforehand, only to push with everything I have on the first few exercises and lose mental motivation for the rest. Those big, heavy compounds at the start of the workout are important, but without the extra work to target weak points or bring up lagging areas, progress will never be as good as it could. This is where timed AMRAP sets will save us, and here's how they work. Let me first give you an example of a somewhat typical upper body workout, then compare it to a workout using timed AMRAP sets. In example 1, we start with a 10x3 superset of Pendlay rows and a push press. After that, we move on to a superset of weighted pull-ups and bench press, both done in the typical range of 3 sets of 8 to 12 reps. Finally, we have a giant set of barbell curls, tricep pushdowns, side laterals, and wrist curls, all done in the 3 sets of 12 to 15 rep range. On paper, this seems very doable, and should be, assuming your work capacity is decent, but the reality is that most of your effort will go towards those first 2 exercises, and the remainder of the workout will often drag on and feel more like a list of chores than something enjoyable. In this example, after the first 2 exercises, you have another 18 sets to get through. For someone who likes to push the intensity, this can seem like a lot, and worst case scenario, you convince yourself 1 or 2 sets of each exercise will be okay, when you know you really need all 3. Now let's look at example 2, where we make use of timed AMRAP sets. First, we do the same 10x3 superset of Pendlay rows and push press, but from here on, things are different. Instead of a 3x12 superset of pull-ups and bench, next we focus on each exercise individually. Choose a weight on your pull-ups you could probably use for 15 or so reps, start a timer for 5 minutes, and pump out as many reps as you can in that time. Once you complete those 5 minutes, write down how many reps you got on your training log and try to beat that number the next time you do the workout. Then do the same for the bench press, then again for every other exercise. Using this approach, you'll probably end up with even more quality volume than if you did the typical 3 sets per exercise, and now you'll only need to get through 6 sets rather than 18. This can be a real game changer. And as for progression, in my experience, once you get 50 reps in those 5 minutes, it's time to add another 5 to 10 pounds and start over next workout. There are a few things to take into consideration when using timed AMRAP sets. First is exercise selection. This approach is not recommended for higher risk technical exercises. This means that under no circumstances would I ever recommend doing a 5-minute set of deadlifts. It would, for example, be better to use a cable row over a freestanding barbell row here. I've also found that exercises that allow for a dead stop in the bottom position are best, so think a Z press done off pins rather than a standing overhead press. This also means that these timed sets are best done after your regular heavy compounds. So like I outlined in the previous examples, you might do a heavy row using typical sets and reps first, then move on to timed sets of something less technical. You'll also need to hold yourself accountable. 5 minutes using bad form is not what we want here. Rest between every single rep if you need to, and you probably will. Just make sure you're doing the exercise correctly. And finally, I will say that in my opinion, the main reason for training with timed AMRAP sets is mental enjoyment. I think the gains will be comparable to using the typical 3 sets of 8 to 12, so if you start to get bored of training this way, go back to your regular routine for a while. Nothing works all the time forever, and this is just another tool you can use whenever it calls out to you. So I hope you liked the video, and until next time, thanks for watching.